and I'll close that. So today I want to talk about nutrition for SCI and paralysis. I know Heidi had told me that there are some dietitians at Spalding and they do some education and things like that. So a lot of you guys probably already know some of this stuff, but I wanted to give an overview about my method for nutrition for paralysis, because I think that with paralysis and SCI, there are some unique kind of concerns, right? Of course, everyone in my program wants to lose weight and improve their bowels. So for everyone here, I think that might be something that you also have in common, that you would like to improve your bowels and lose weight, or at least not gain weight and maintain muscle mass. So just a quick intro. Like I said, I'm a dietitian. That's my husband, Ray. We've been married for about 7 years and we have 2 little kids. And Paralysis Nutrition is my dream come true. When I met my husband, I was a graduate student and he had been injured for 10 years, living on his own and not eating badly, but not eating right. And it was very kind of concerning for me and interesting that not one day of my master's level education in clinical nutrition did they talk about spinal cord injury and paralysis. Not one day. So I often feel like we are sort of left out, you know, of the culture, right? The health culture, the wellness culture. And a lot of these diets out there that people tell me that they're trying, they're not designed for people with paralysis. And that can be, a problem, right? And so my mission is to empower people living with SCI and paralysis to take control of their weight, regulate their bowels using real food. I don't prescribe any trendy diets. I don't believe that there are bad foods. You can enjoy your meals and feel good for the ultimate goal of obviously avoiding future health complications and living a healthy life. So today I'm going to talk primarily about weight loss and healthy eating. What does a healthy diet look like? And then a bit about bowel health. And then I will open it up for some Q&A. So 65% of people in the United States with spinal cord injury are obese. And I don't mean that in like a kind of an opinion kind of way. I mean that in like a medical sense. So if your BMI, your body mass index, which is a measure of it's a calculation of your height and weight. If it's over 30 for the general population, that means that you are obese. For the SCI population, it's actually anything over 22 is considered obese, which, I mean, don't get me started on that. I feel like that's not a great number, but that is what the literature suggests, is that with a spinal cord injury, you actually should not weigh what you weighed prior to your injury. You should weigh a bit less. And there's lots of reasons why people with paralysis gain weight, right? So obviously a lower activity level, but also changes in your body composition because you have lower muscle mass. And that results in having a lower resting metabolic rate, which pretty much means that the amount of calories that you used to burn at rest has gone down, right? So many people are eating too many calories because they're eating the way that they used to prior to injury. And that's going to be likely too many calories. Also, chronic inflammation, some hormonal changes. These things also result in weight gain, as well as insulin resistance, changes in your carbohydrate metabolism. So after a spinal cord injury or anyone living with paralysis, the way that your body metabolizes carbs changes. That doesn't mean don't eat a healthy diet for paralysis. And then, of course, access to healthcare varies, right? And that can kind of determine how healthy you are and how much, you're gaining or losing weight. And then poor quality sleep. So I will get into that a bit more, but it pretty much ties into hormones. So if you're not sleeping well, it's not all about diet. There are also some lifestyle things that are important when it comes to weight. And why does your weight matter? Why does it matter at all? I mean, a lot of people in my program just say, I don't like my belly. I just don't like the way it looks. And that's their kind of motivation for perhaps losing weight. And there's nothing wrong with that. However, there's a lot of health issues that you can run into, not even just having a spinal cord injury, but then gaining excess weight. So, heart disease, diabetes, poor circulation. I mean, the list goes on. And I think with COVID, it's been interesting because I think in the general population, there's going to be studies about it eventually. But in the general population, many, 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 many people have gained weight due to quarantine. And I can only assume that that is also happening in our population, right? Because we're not going out, we're not as active, there's not much to do. We live in New York and it's just now getting to be spring, but we have been home, with not much to do. So I set this up in this way to kind of make it clear as to why do we even want to eat healthy? Why does it matter? Right? Why does weight gain matter? Because it really does affect your health. And now that I am done with that kind of negative, I feel like it's kind of a bummer, to start off that way, talking about the weight gain, but it is really an issue, right, for a lot of my clients and people in this community. So all that being said, we are not going to go on a diet. Those don't work. Studies have shown time and again that restrictive diets fail. So 95% of people who have short-term success, meaning that they lose weight from a restrictive diet, are going to regain it or more than they even lost within 5 years, right? I have so many people in my program and just people that I talk to in the community who have tried all these crazy diets. And I think they feel like it worked because they lost weight for a little while. And then when they gained it back after going off the diet, it's actually really crushing. It's depressing and it makes you feel like you failed. But I think that for anyone listening who has been on a diet and it worked, for a little while and then you gain the weight back, just kind of, it's time to move on and realize that you didn't fail. That diet is not for you, right? Those diets are not for people with paralysis. And so we don't want to go on a diet. We just want to learn how to eat healthy and enjoy ourselves. So just a little brief recap of the diet. So these days I hear a lot of fasting, a lot of keto, cutting out carbs, these detoxes. People think it's good to be gluten-free, paleo. And my question is just, what is next? Because there's always going to be a new diet, right? And paralysis nutrition, I do not promote diets. I teach people, nutrition education that will help them with paralysis lose weight and improve their bowels and feel more energetic. So I think that a lot of us think that we need to go on some sort of diet, cut out foods that we love in order to lose weight or be healthy. And it's not true. And I talk about this at length on social media about why these diets, especially keto and fasting, which are, very popular these days, are inappropriate medically for people with paralysis. So now that we have said what we shouldn't do, let's get into what we should be doing. So let's take it back to the basics, especially for the purposes of today. We're just talking about healthy diet. So healthy diet one-on-one. You need to be eating 3 meals. You need to be eating 3 meals. And I think a lot of people think that skipping meals, you will eat less calories, but that could be setting you up for malnutrition. And it could be kind of the reason why you're not losing any weight is because you are under eating. I see that so much in my group program, is that people are desperate to lose weight. They eat 1 meal a day, maybe 2 meals a day, severe calorie restriction, 1,000 calories or whatever, and they're not losing weight. And why is that? Because their body's in starvation mode. And so we want to properly nourish ourselves. That means 3 meals and even a snack. So for example, I'll use my husband as an example. He wakes up very early, like 5 a.m. So he'll have breakfast and then he'll have a snack. Then he'll have lunch. and then he'll have dinner. So because he starts so early, he has a morning snack. For me, I like to have a snack around 3 or 4 o'clock between lunch and dinner. Otherwise, I find that I overeat at dinner. So whatever works for you, you know, and even in, you know, your own household, you might be eating a little bit differently than the people around you. Like we have kids, we don't really, we, you know, they're growing. We want to not grow, right? The adults in the house are not growing. So their food choices are going to be a little bit different. But for paralysis, if you want to lose weight and improve bowels, you need to be eating 3 meals. And most people, I do suggest one snack, whether it's in the morning or in the evening. That's going to help you balance your blood sugar. It's going to prevent you from overeating at your next meal. It also can help with bloating to eat more regularly. And you want to eat lots of veggies and some fruits. I think some of the diets out there are saying, oh, fruit is bad because it has sugar, and that's absolutely untrue. I think that the emphasis should be on vegetables, and I do recommend 2 servings of fruit a day for my clients. So fruits and veggies, and then reducing added sugars. So a lot of people, I think, have this idea that juices, for example, are better than perhaps some of the other kind of like sodas and things out there. But the truth is, we don't really need to be consuming added sugar on a daily basis. So like juices, desserts, you know, things like that, they're okay sometimes. But I do get people who every single day are consuming these foods. And it's not good for your weight, obviously. It's not good for your blood sugar. And it's also going to increase your inflammation. So we want to kind of reduce those added sugars so that we can, you know, follow a healthy diet pattern. And then getting adequate protein. So most people think that they get enough protein because they eat meat. But if you skip a meal, for example, if you're a person who never eats breakfast, you may not be getting enough protein. If you aren't eating protein at every meal, you probably are not getting enough protein. So these are just kind of my beginning tips for a healthy diet. Is 3 meals and a snack, lots of vegetables, 1 or 2 fruits a day, reduce your added sugars, and get adequate protein. Adequate protein is great for weight loss, right? Because it kind of cuts down on the amount of carbs that you're eating and also helps maintain your muscle mass. And just getting a little kind of more detailed into what is a healthy diet for SCI and paralysis, we want to eat lots of plants. So vegetables, fruits, whole grains, protein from meat and non-meat sources. I always have at least one vegetarian or maybe even a vegan in the group. And so we talk a lot about non-meat proteins. I think it's great to go meatless, but going meatless does not mean missing protein. It just means not eating meat, right? So high fiber, complex carbs. So, you know, your whole wheat bread instead of white bread, or, you know, high fiber cereal as opposed to, you know, Rice Krispies, whatever. High fiber, complex carbs will help you kind of get enough fiber so that you can regulate your bowels. And then healthy fats. So we love avocados, nuts, seeds, you know, fish, healthy fats. Adequate minerals. So many people are not getting enough magnesium and zinc. And so those are super important for your nervous system, your immune system. And so we want to make sure that we're getting enough of those foods. And if we are not, maybe consider supplementation. But food first, always. Food first for getting your nutrients. And then fun foods, I say, in small portions. So every Friday night in our family, we order takeout. We will always order some sort of dessert, but we'll split it. You know, my husband is not eating an entire brownie or an entire gigantic cookie. We get, for the kids, you know, they split something. So we're always kind of watching our portions when it comes to these. I call them fun foods because we don't want to start saying, you know, labeling foods as being bad. You know, I think a lot of people think cookies are bad. And it's like, no, cookies are not bad. Eating 30 cookies is probably bad, but eating a couple of cookies is fun. And we want to enjoy our foods. And that's why I really emphasize not going on a diet, right? Because if you're on a diet, you're not supposed to eat all these things that you really love. And I think that's no way to live, right? And it's not sustainable, which is another reason why these restrictive diets that cut out food groups and cut out, these fun foods, they really make people miserable, and they fail in the long run. So these are just some examples of what I would consider healthy takes, on different meals. So you'll notice here. So like this is a meal prepped Chinese food. Like you could eat Chinese food, but look, portion of rice, right? Because that's your carbohydrate. And then there's plenty of protein. So you can eat the foods that you love. You just have to watch the portions. This is a pasta salad, but you'll notice it's not just pasta and like a couple of vegetables. It's a lot of colorful stuff in here, healthy fats from the avocado. And this is chicken for protein. And we can create meals that are not just delicious, but also nourishing and help us lose weight. And that's really what I try to do in Paralysis Nutrition. And then here, so we have like a mango salsa and shrimp situation. And here we do have rice. So we're not cutting out carbs. We're just being much more conscious about them. This is a beef stir fry. So you'll see it's not just meat. They added some colorful peppers. I would have probably doubled them, but this is not my photo. And then this is a situation where you go out to eat and, so, for example, I can imagine this being like a Panera or something like a sandwich place where you can get chips, you can maybe get bread or whatever, but you can also choose to get salad, right? This is a high fiber breakfast. So it's oatmeal and there's some chia seeds and blueberries and a little banana. There's high protein because we'll just imagine that they used milk instead of water. So lots of ways to add good nutrition to your favorite meals. And then this is a meatless bowl. So we have like tofu and your avocado, and you'll see there is rice, right? But it's not, the majority of the bowl is not going to be carbs. And then this is just like a breakfast hash. So instead of potatoes, these are shaved Brussels sprouts. So I just wanted to share some ideas and some inspiration, because healthy food does not need to be boring. If it's boring, we're going to quit. Or if it's boring, Monday through Friday, we'll eat well and then we'll go nuts on the weekend. And that's another thing I see a lot of is like, oh, I'm good all week. But then on the weekend, you eat 2 times as much, or you're just not, you're binge eating or whatever. And when you look at your calories throughout the week, if you think you're eating, I don't know, 1,400, let's say, but then on the weekend you're eating 3,000, all that work that you've done during the week is not exactly going to be effective, because every day counts, every meal counts. So this is my kind of balanced plate method. I do suggest for 2 meals a day, usually it's going to be lunch and dinner, that have your plate be vegetables. And I don't mean, corn or potatoes. I mean non-starchy vegetables. And then you'll have your protein here, and you can have your starchy carb here. If you're a dessert eater, like my husband, he likes to eat sweets. He will often skip a starchy carb at dinner so he can have, a cookie or something afterwards. Because the truth is, if you have the right education, if someone teaches you the proper way to balance your meals, you can eat dessert. We can enjoy all foods. And I think that's so hard for people to understand. Like, you can enjoy all foods. It comes down to frequency and portion. But there's no reason to cut out things like dessert and fun foods. So I showed a lot of examples of balanced meals, and now I would just want to share some common, I think, ideas of what a healthy meal can, of what a unbalanced meal is. So for example, why is this unbalanced? We have this gorgeous piece of salmon, we have asparagus, but this is what I would call like a diet meal, right? Because there's no carbs here. So right here, there's nothing wrong with like a half a cup of rice or a half a cup of pasta or, a small piece of like a baguette, whatever you want. You can have carbs. If I were to eat this, for example, I would feel like, ooh, I'm missing something, and I would probably be hungry afterwards. So this is missing a carb. That's why I say that it's unbalanced. This is an example of what you might get at like a diner, like a triple decker. And the reason this is unbalanced is there's 3 pieces of bread in here. So that's, for most people, that's way too many carbs at one meal. And then this is an example of just all carbs, right? So if you make spaghetti for dinner and it's just spaghetti, it's all carbohydrates. Now, a better idea would have been like, here is a frozen veggie burger, or perhaps a leftover chicken breast or something to go here. Frozen turkey burger. We love those too. So that should be here. And then half of this plate should be vegetables. And then you can still have spaghetti, but not in this amount, right? This is unbalanced because it's missing protein, it's missing fiber, and it's really high in carbs. And then just a couple more. So I love a burger and fries, but it is what it is, right? We need to not eat these things so frequently because this is a carb, the bread. This is a carb, it's bread. So a bun is really 2 servings of carbohydrate. And then here, of course, this is going to be another couple servings of carbohydrate because it's fries. So when we eat something like this, there's nothing wrong with it. But I do have people in my program that are eating fast food and takeout every single day. And it's very easy to overeat calories when you're not mindful, right, of your food choices. So once a week, burger and fries, sure, wonderful, but not every single day, right? And I'm not exaggerating. I really do get people who eat takeout every single day, sometimes even multiple times a day. And then here, right, gorgeous fruit salad. The only reason it's unbalanced is because this would not be like a meal, right? Because it's all just carbs. Wonderful, and you should be eating fruits, but when I eat something like this, I usually try to have like a handful of nuts or maybe string cheese or something, because I could eat a whole bowl of fruit, right? And I would feel full for a little while, but after maybe 45 minutes, I'd be hungry again because there's no protein here, and there's no healthy fats. It's all carbohydrates. So just kind of showing how sometimes healthy food can also be unbalanced, right? This is a gorgeous salad, but it's a side salad. I get people who say, oh, I have a huge salad for lunch, but an hour later I'm hungry. And the answer is always, there's no protein on that salad. It's got lots of veggies, it's got maybe a little cheese, it's got dressing, but there's no protein in it. So that's why I say, isn't it interesting? So this is what we would typically say is like a splurge or, an indulgence. And we would say, oh, these are so healthy. But look, all 3 are unbalanced in different ways, right? These are missing things and these are kind of excess in things. So just kind of, I share this because I want to kind of show how nutrition education is so important, because I do get people who eat what I would consider healthy foods, but they're not losing weight. And why is that? It's because they're probably eating too many calories and they're not watching their portions. So, like I said, all foods can fit. They have to, otherwise we won't be happy. And that includes kind of some of the foods that we know are not as healthy, but we just need to be careful with these. So let's just be aware of how frequently we eat them. I have a thing for potato chips. It is my absolute, I don't know, it's just my absolute favorite. So what do? I don't buy them every single week. I choose when to buy them, right? My kids were on spring break this week. So yes, I bought some popcorn. I bought some, I've got them some juice boxes. We got some fun foods for the week because we're chilling out. We're having some fun at home. There's not much to do outside. Although today is gorgeous, so we'll get outside. But I think, this idea that foods are bad is so damaging, and to feel guilty for eating your favorite foods is really terrible. I get so many people in the program who are like, oh, I was bad this weekend. You were not bad. You just ate something that was more dense in calories. So, I think watching the way that we even speak to ourselves about food is really interesting. And for people in the program who, have been through, honestly, it's like a trauma, going through all these diets, they really are almost afraid of eating certain foods, and they don't feel like those foods can fit into a healthy diet. So I almost kind of think that we need to take a moment, and even sometimes I tell people to write it down. What foods do you love that you think are bad? And how can we fit these into your routine so that you feel happy, right? And you don't feel deprived. So foods to be careful with, I would say, are fast food. It is what it is. Super high calories, super high fat, super high sugar. Does that mean you should never eat fast food? No. My husband and I have a thing. I mean, we haven't traveled in so long, but whenever we're in an airport, I feel like we just kind of want to eat that. So it's not a big deal. It's not something that we do every day. It's fun for us, So, um, but again, if you're eating this very frequently, it's not going to be good for your body. Things like drinks, so coffee drinks. I don't know if we have any coffee drinkers in the group, but I love to drink coffee, but when you go to a Starbucks or a Dunkin' Donuts or a Tim Hortons or whatever it is that's in your neighborhood, I think it's really important to look at the nutrition information on the drinks, especially if it's something that you're getting frequently. Every once in a while, have, Frappuccino or whatever is not a big deal. But I know people go every single day to places like Dunkin' and Starbucks, and they're getting these drinks that are 400, 500. I mean, shocking amounts of calories. I was looking at the Dunkin' Donuts. I have a client who really loves the Dunkin' Donuts, like some drink that they have. And I was looking through their menu. They literally have drinks that are 800 calories. What? You know how much food I could eat for 800 calories? So watch the drinks, and that goes for sports drinks and sodas and all of that. Sweets. So, like I said, my husband has a sweet tooth. We don't keep a lot of sweets in the house, but we always keep something, because I think if you cut down and you don't have the foods at home, you miss them, right? And it's not a good feeling. So, doing portion control is, I think, the most important thing, and having a bit of a plan. So, for example, we keep these frozen yogurt bars, but we don't eat them every single day. It's kind of like a weekend thing or like a sometimes thing. And if you really have trouble, I guess, portion controlling your sweets, you could kind of just make a rule that's like, hey, I'm not going to buy certain things. And if I really want it, I'll go out and get it. We do that with real ice cream. So, like, come the summer or even spring, if we want to get ice cream, we'll just go out, and get it. It makes it more special, makes it more like a treat. And then takeout, like I said, we order every Friday. It's our thing. We so enjoy it. And there is nothing wrong with takeout. But if we're eating takeout 4 or 5 times a week, right? And there's always leftovers. So it's not those 4 or 5 times, it's like leftovers too. So it's maybe like 8 times that you're eating takeout out of 21 meals for the week. It adds up really quickly. And then fried foods. I mentioned, my love affair with potato chips. I just love them. It's so hard for me to portion control them. So I don't buy them all the time, and when we do buy them, I just kind of know that I'm going to overeat them, and it's okay, right? It's not an everyday thing. So these are the foods that I think a lot of people have trouble with. So we just want to, first of all, accept the fact that we like them and we are allowed to eat them, but mind yourself in terms of the frequency and the portions. So I just wanted to share a couple of success stories, because I think that in this community, there is sort of I don't know, I guess it depends on who you talk to. There is sort of like this inevitable feeling of like, oh, wheelchair users, a lot of them gain weight. It's so hard to lose weight. It's, nothing works for me. And I just want to share some inspiration because I do have so many people that have lost weight because they learned how to eat right. This is my client, Nikki. She was with me for 3 months. She lost, it says 8, but she actually lost 11 inches off of her waist. She was eating way too many calories because she exercises. She's actually a certified personal trainer and she's paraplegic. And her trainer at the gym told her to eat 1,800 calories and 100 grams of protein, and none of that was appropriate for her. So she was so upset because she was working out 5 or 6 days a week, hard, and gaining weight. And that's all because she did not get the right guidance, right? And then Christina, who is a avid cyclist, so proud of her. She has lost 12 pounds so far. She also, I think, struggles with some, the meal prep because she works full time, and there's everyone has their own struggles. Meal prepping is a struggle. Grocery shopping is a struggle. Working full time and perhaps, you know, with the pandemic too, just being home a lot and overeating. These are things that everyone is experiencing. So if you're feeling kind of, I don't know, discouraged because you have tried, a diet or you have tried on your own, it's not impossible to lose weight with paralysis. Yes, you need less calories. Yes, you need more protein and fiber, but you can lose weight. And then I want to go over food labels. This kind of, I wish it was bigger, but I'm just going to say briefly, like when you're grocery shopping, this is your opportunity to get healthy foods that you enjoy into the house. Because if we don't have healthy foods, we can't eat them, right? they're not around. So when you see the front of the package, just be very aware. This is marketing, right? This is marketing stuff. And it can be sort of misleading. It can sort of convince you that this is a good idea to buy this. For example, I use Honey Nut Cheerios because it is the most popular cereal in America. So here we are, Honey Nut Cheerios, heart-shaped bowl. Love it, right? Makes me feel so happy. This little bee, I've been seeing him since, the 80s. He makes me feel so comfortable and nostalgic. And then this banner here that says in big letters, lower cholesterol. Okay, yes, that is what they are putting on the front. But the real information is going to be here. The real information is on the back, or in this case, side of the package. So, how many calories? How much fiber? How much protein? How much carbs? How much fat? What is the serving size, right? For example, with cereal, usually a serving of cereal is 1 cup or like 3/4 of a cup. It depends on the cereal. Last week we bought multigrain Cheerios. I think it said like 1.5 cups. So check the serving size. And I apologize that this is not bigger. The serving size is right on the top. So, for example, if this is 1 cup, how much are you pouring into your bowl? Because if you're not using a measuring cup, which most of us do not, you're probably pouring more. So if it's, 100 calories, for example, for a cup, but you're pouring 2 cups, you know what I mean? That's twice as many. And so you might not be aware of your portion. So reading food labels is so important. And in my program, I have like a private Facebook group, and I think one of the most common things that people do is they'll post labels, photos of labels, and say like, "This is my cereal. What do you think?" Or "This is my almond milk," or "Is this a good yogurt?" Because food labels are confusing. There's a lot of information, and most people just look straight at the calories, and that's not really, I mean, in my method, that's not really the most important thing. Depending on the food, it could be, if, for example, you're looking at bread, look at the fiber, look at the protein, because the calories are pretty much going to be the same. A piece of bread is going to be somewhere between, I don't know, 60 to 100 calories, pretty much. It's not that big of a deal whether it's 60 or 100. The difference is, does your bread have no fiber, 5 grams of fiber? Does it have 1 gram of protein? Does it have 6? These are the things that matter, right? And then if you're looking at something like yogurt, yogurt is so tricky because there's a lot of sugar. There's a lot of added sugar in some of these yogurts. So it's like there's different things to look at on different types of food. So when you are grocery shopping, you need to read your food labels and compare them so that you can make healthy choices. So for anyone who is interested in losing weight, these are my tips that you can start to do right now. Start tracking your meals. You don't have to do it forever, right? In my program, I am very clear about that. We're not going to be obsessed. We're not going to be counting calories for our whole life. But most people have no idea how many calories they consume. And the easiest way to find out how many calories are you eating right now on average is to use an app like MyFitnessPal or Lose It or whatever. Um, I like those because they have a lot of brands in them. So you can look things up and it makes your life easier. You don't have to enter every single thing. So the number one thing you want to do is start tracking your meals and figure out very honestly, how many calories are you eating right now on average? Is it 1,200? Is it 3,000? Is it 1,900? Whatever it is. Figure out how many calories you're eating on average, like for a week. And then assess, are you currently losing weight or are you gaining weight? Right? Because when we do these calorie calculations, I help people in my group figure out how much calories they should be eating. But it's not just calculations, it's how many are you eating right now? Because if you're eating 1,800 calories and you're gaining weight, well, okay, that's too many, right? If you're eating 1,200 and not losing weight, oh, you might be under eating. So we need to figure that out, right? And the first thing to do is figure out before you make any dietary changes, be very honest with yourself and say, how many calories am I eating right now? And what result is that giving me, right? And I know I mentioned MyFitnessPal, that's for tracking, but just be aware, those apps are not made for paralysis. So when it gives you a calorie goal, it doesn't know that you have an SCI. It doesn't know, even if you say that you're sedentary, sedentary still means that you are walking around doing your activities of daily life. So a lot of people are using apps like MyFitnessPal to figure out their calories and macros, but it's not made for paralysis. And I hope, I do know a few people in the community who are working on projects to create things that are made for this community. But for right now, you would want to put your own targets for calories and macros into MyFitnessPal, and probably not use theirs. And it goes without saying, I think that if you want to lose weight, you need to eat less calories than you burn. And what you used to burn pre-injury and what you burn now is going to vary. I get a lot of people who exercise, like Nikki, who I mentioned in the program. She works out 5 to 6 days a week, right? But she wasn't losing weight because she was eating too many calories. So whether you are a wheelchair user or you are not, you cannot out exercise a a calorie surplus. So if you're wearing an Apple Watch or a Garmin or whatever, and it's saying you burned 500 calories in your adaptive workout, be very wary because those things really overestimate how much you burn. And getting clarity on how many calories you should eat so that you can start tracking and being in a calorie deficit, that is how you're going to see the weight come off and stay off. And I say fun fact, but it's not really too fun for me. Most people are eating too many carbs and not enough protein and fiber. That's not just in the paralysis world, that's in the whole world. And like I said, even though we need carbs, we don't want to overeat carbs. The easiest way to make sure that you're not eating too many carbs is to get adequate protein and fiber first. So like, for example, when I have new clients, I don't tell them how many carbs to eat. I tell them how much protein and fiber that they need to eat so that they can focus on adequacy. Because I feel like that's such a healthier thing, is to make sure that you're getting enough of things that you're probably low on, and automatically your carbs will go down, right? And then as we increase protein and fiber, then we can sort of hone in on how many carbs you should be eating. But I think people focus kind of only on calories, and that can be kind of frustrating because calories are important, but your macros, your carbs, your fats, your protein, they are very, very important too. So if you're eating 1,200 calories, but it's like 70% carbs, that's not going to result in weight loss. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm going to shut the door for a second because my kids, hold on one second. They're being good though, so I can't complain. So just some more inspiration. My client Andrew was skipping meals, not eating breakfast, feeling so bloated, and under eating. He actually was under eating because he was drinking diet soda all day, and it was kind of, creating these sugar cravings, and he was not losing weight even though his calories were low. So I know it can sound a little strange to say he's under eating and not losing weight, but that is what happens. So cleaned up his diet, quit the diet soda. He's on seltzer now, which is fine. And so much less sugar cravings, down to a 30-inch waist, and just feeling really, so much better. And he is a busy, he works, and he's a dad and a husband. And I think if you're not eating well and you feel very yucky, it sort of kind of sets the tone for the whole kind of the day, right? If you're not feeling well. And it's not often that I get people who can weigh themselves, but recently I have had a few clients weigh themselves. I think doing measurements is probably the easiest way to figure out if your nutrition changes are working for you. But this year I did get some people to weigh themselves, 19 pounds, 15 pounds, 25 pounds. People with paralysis can lose weight, right? Without starving themselves. And I think that that's really my focus, right? My mission. And the reason that I share these success stories is because I hear so much, what's the word? I guess just like negativity and frustration. How about that? Frustration is a better word, because following diets like keto and fasting, these are not for you. So they will not work in the long term. And so I mentioned eating enough protein and fiber. I'm going to go into that. So I hesitate to ever give numbers because it really varies per person, but I've had somewhere between 150 and 200 people go to the program. And I will say the majority of people need somewhere between 60 to 80 grams of protein per day. So I would say if you want to start eating healthier right now, aim for 20 grams of protein at each meal, right? So that's 3 meals. I'll be honest with you, at breakfast, I don't often hit 20 grams, but I always make up for it because at lunch or at dinner, I'll be over 20. And then my snack always has some sort of protein. So you don't have to obsess about it, but it is an easy kind of target to be like 20 at breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That'll give me 60, right? And your needs may be higher. And then I mentioned this before. We want to include plant-based and animal proteins because, and I'll get to this in, I think, a slide or two, when we talk about gut health, right, you need to be eating plants. And I think so many of us are just sort of forgetting, to include our vegetables with our meals. And so plant-based proteins, things like tofu and tempeh, and whole grains like quinoa. Also, they have so many of these kind of veggie burgers out there now. One of my favorite ones is like, I forget, it's like made of beets and stuff. And it's 20 grams of protein, in this simple little veggie burger. And it heats up real quick. So I find plant-based proteins to be so convenient. They don't require as much cooking and prep and defrost and all of that as meat. We are, in our family, we eat meat almost every day, but also every day, always me, but often my husband too. We are meatless for lunch. So it's nice to include a plant-based, regular plant-based proteins in your meals. And the more plants that you eat, the more happy your gut is, because the more bacterias and different types of fibers that you eat, the better for your gut. And then, so when it comes to protein, we do want to watch the fat content, because all meats, do contain some saturated fats. So focus on your lean proteins. Like with chicken, you want to take the skin off. If you're having steaks, make sure, I mean, if it's once in a while, I guess it's not that big of a deal. But if you eat beef on a regular basis, go for the one that's 90% lean, for example. At least I get one from Trader Joe's that I think is 92, and it tastes just as fine, right? So just watch that fat content, and focus on your lean proteins. So on to fiber. So fiber, I could talk all day about gut health and poop, right? And how that's such a game changer for people to improve their bowels. But my quick tip would be, if you want to improve your bowels, you need to, one, start thinking about what is it that you take? Because I get a lot of people who are drinking Miralax every day, taking Senna multiple times a day, multiple pills. People who are taking psyllium husk and different fiber supplements, and their bowels are not regular. So I understand that those are kind of the go-tos from rehab. I think that if we're getting all those things into our system and our bowels are not regular, it's something to examine. And I understand it can be very difficult because people are on a certain routine, and even if your routine is not good, at least it's what you're comfortable with and it's what you're used to doing. But I do kind of push people in my program to reconsider some of these things, because if you have an awesome bowel program and you can poop in 15 minutes, I good for you. You don't have to change anything. But if you're taking all these different things and it still takes you 2 hours to poop and you're only going every 2 days, it's time to look at your diet, right? So the number one thing is to increase your fiber. Start slowly. Do not overwhelm your system. I have had clients who eat very low fiber, and then when they join, in 1 week, they go from like 5 grams, which is super low, to their target, which is much higher than that. And their system gets overwhelmed, right? And they get actually constipated. So we need to start slowly so that we don't overwhelm our system. So make vegetables a big part of your meals, whether it's, a veggie omelet or a salad for lunch or some roasted vegetables. This will not only increase your fiber, but it will increase the amount of good bacterias, right, in your gut. And vegetables tend to be lower in calories, so they help you with weight loss too. 2 servings of fruit. So I say save your carbs for fruit, especially if you have constipation. So for example, I use my husband as an example all the time. So I'll just say, for breakfast, for example, this morning, we made omelets, simple omelets. I didn't even really put any veggies in it because I didn't have too much time. I had a piece of toast because I really need a piece of toast. He doesn't really care. So I gave him grapefruit that he really enjoys, because we need to be able to get in the foods that we like, right? While still kind of making sure that we're not eating too many carbs. So for example, I wouldn't have given him, and again, for anyone who joined late, my husband is quadriplegic. He's a C6-7 incomplete. So he needs more fruit than I do, right? I have like 1 serving. I don't really, I can't really leave out bread. But for him, he doesn't care. So I will say, hey, you'll have an omelet with fruit as opposed to omelet, bread, and fruit, because that's too many carbs, right? And so he will do 2 servings of fruit every day with the skin on, and it really helps with constipation and being regular. And then choosing whole grains instead of white stuff. So I said whole wheat pasta, right, instead of white pasta. Perhaps quinoa instead of the plain kind of couscous. These are easy swaps, you know. And that's not to say that you can never eat white bread or you can never eat, you know, I don't know, what other white stuff like potatoes. You just have to make sure that your portions are reasonable. And I say usually half a cup when it comes to like the white stuff. And then sprinkling seeds and nuts on your food or snacks. So for my husband, he likes chia seeds. We like hemp seeds, almonds, walnuts, pistachios. These all have fiber. So you want to start slowly. Let's not go from super low fiber to super high. Slow and steady wins the race. And when you're increasing fiber, it's not on the slide, but I'll just say you really need to make sure that you're drinking enough water. My general recommendation for people with paralysis who do have constipation is 2 liters a day, which is about 64, I think, ounces. But yeah, 2 liters. And again, I do obviously, you know, what do you call it? Look at the whole picture, right? So if you're larger, you might need more. I do have clients who have tried 64 ounces and they're like, okay, it's better. But once they increase it to 80 or 90, they can poop every day, right? And cut their time down. So focus on fiber, but also really don't forget your water, because if you're increasing fiber and not drinking enough water, that's not going to help regulate your bowels. It's going to make you constipated. And I think that when it comes to bowels, that's probably even more of a negative. I get more of a negative vibe from people when they speak about bowels than they even do about weight. Because I think weight is important, yes, but nothing can mess up your day like bowels. You know, and I will be very honest, my husband 2 years ago missed Christmas because Christmas Eve we had a big party at our house. This is way before COVID, and he kind of overdid it with the eating and the drinking. And then on Christmas Day, he could not make it to his mom's house and I had to just take the kids by myself. It was horrible. You know, you missed Christmas because you were in the bathroom. And it is what it is. I mean, it's sometimes, you know, I think more frustrating than any other part of our lifestyle is the bowel health. So I share these stories because I want to inspire you to start making these changes because people are doing it, you know, and it is possible. This is one of my favorite stories. Richie said that he used to every day drink a cup of prune juice, 2 cups of black coffee, and then he would use suppositories. And he said, I would wait half the day to poop. And he is also a quad. He's, I think, a C5, 6. And he, believe it or not, can poop in 5 minutes. And he no longer needs suppositories. And this is because Richie was eating, I don't even know, like such low fiber, not focusing on water, eating out multiple, you know, times per week. And he has made the changes and he can poop in 5 minutes. I mean, geez, even I can barely poop in 5 minutes. He's doing better than me, you know, and he dropped the suppositories. No more prune juice, no more black coffee. Leon, who had a 3-hour a day bowel program because he just was eating whatever, right? Not focusing on fiber. He also actually really had a very bad pressure sore, but that's kind of not related. Not eating enough protein, not eating enough fiber, skipping meals, you know, and his bowel program went from 3 hours a day to now it's under an hour. So it's like 45 minutes. This is life changing, right? Because he's married, he has a little daughter, he's a stay-at-home dad. Can you imagine 3 hours a day in the bathroom? What is your daughter doing? You know, so 45 minutes for him, but 5 minutes for Richie. Don't compare yourself to other people. Just do what's, focus on yourself. So if it takes you 2-3 hours, it can get to 45 minutes. If you're waiting half the day, oh my God, it could be it could be so much less. So I encourage you to be inspired, but also let's not compare ourselves to others, and let's just do better for ourselves. And obviously, weight and bowels is the focus of my program. So I just want to go over some other kind of effects of healthy eating. Improved bowel and gut health, of course. So you will spend less time in the bathroom, have a more regular schedule, and feel less bloated. You will lose weight and feel so much better. So it's hard for me because a lot of my clients can't weigh themselves. But when they do their measurements, they notice that they have lost inches. And with paralysis, it's not just about calories for weight loss, it's improving your bowel and gut health, right? So that's almost like the foundation is improving your bowel and gut health, and then the weight will come off, right? So when you eat a healthy diet of foods that you enjoy, you are going to not only lose weight and feel more energetic, you will feel happier, right? Because you get to eat the foods that you enjoy. We're not on a diet, right? And then a healthy relationship with food. So I will say this over and over again. We are not dieting. I do not believe in dieting. It does not work. Makes you feel guilty and makes you feel like you failed. So when you eat healthy, nourishing foods and fun foods in moderation, you feel satisfied, not just in your tummy, but in your brain, right? And you feel accomplished, like you can really do this because it is a sustainable method. And of course, today was about nutrition, but there are other lifestyle factors that are huge when it comes to weight loss and getting your bowels right. Good quality sleep. Poor quality sleep has a horrible effect on your weight because your hormones. I know my husband has trouble sleeping because he's kind of spastic, and on days that he doesn't feel well, I know for a fact he craves sweets because your cortisol goes up when you don't sleep well, and you will feel more cravings towards sweet stuff. Stress management. So this is funny, but if this was a brunette, that would probably be me. But stress hormones really disrupt your gut microbiome. So I encourage people in my program to do deep breathing. I have this whole thing on vagus nerve stimulation. So it's basically stress management and doing things to kind of reduce stress so that your bowels can be more regular. So if you are not doing any type of stress management, that is equally important when it comes to weight loss and bowels as your diet. And then physical activity. So whatever you can do. I have a lot of people who are paraplegic, a lot who are quadriplegic, some who are in power chairs, some who are able to walk with a walker. So it will look different for you. For my husband, he does PT like twice a week, and he also has like a standing frame. And he's not out here on this cool bike or whatever, but some of y'all are. So whatever is your way of moving your body, it is so critical for weight loss, and also for bowel health. You're not going to out exercise a poor diet, but you should be moving your body in any way that you can, based on your situation. So that is it. Thank you guys so much. We're going to do a little Q&A, but if you'd like to follow me, I'm on Instagram at paralysis.nutrition, also on Facebook. If you would like to sign up for my newsletter, I do send some freebies, some recipes, some nutrition tips, updates on my program. You can go to my website. It's paralysisnutrition.com. And of course, I welcome you to book a discovery call if you are interested to join the Paralysis Nutrition Program. I have a 6-week and a 3-month VIP program. There's weekly Zoom calls, there's weekly meal plans, educational videos. I have an online course, and there's also a private Facebook group for support and accountability. So the focus is really on sustainable weight loss and bowel health, but also I teach meal planning and prepping. We go through calories and macros, questions about supplements, pretty much just soup to nuts. And I'm always kind of improving and making things better, because as I get more clients and they tell me what they need, I can make things better. So if you would like to book a discovery call, you can go to my website, paralysisnutrition.com. Scroll to the bottom. I have a quick application. This is just like a screenshot of the application. And then once you fill it out, a scheduler will come up and you can choose a time to book a free discovery call. And I can tell you more about the program. And then last but not least, I have a cookbook. It's called the Paralysis Nutrition Cookbook. It is 101 recipes to help you lose weight and improve bowel health. The digital edition comes with a bonus 30-day sample meal plan. If you're interested in the cookbook, you can go to paralysisnutrition.com/cookbook. And today only, you can use the promo code Boston. And I will give you 20% off. So that is it, you guys, from me. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And I think, okay, there's a lot of stuff in the chat.
Yes. I wanted to know whether you wanted me to read the questions out, or do you just want to go back and go over?
So I will go, I'll just read through. There's not so many.
Great.
2 vegans over here, Christina and Alex. Awesome. Vegan diets are awesome. I don't promote them, but if you are a vegan, you can absolutely get enough protein. I've been a dietitian for many years. Even without paralysis, vegans tend to be a little more challenging because there's not as many choices when it comes to proteins, but that does not mean that you cannot be a healthy eater. What I notice is that most vegans and vegetarians, at least through my program, eat way too many carbs and don't eat enough protein. So I trust that you are not doing that. Where do we get magnesium and zinc? So you can get it from foods and supplements. Actually have a list of foods that are high in magnesium and zinc. I do not know them off the top of my head, but I think it's very easy. You can even Google it. I can also tell you, I'm not going to look it up right now, but I think I posted it a couple of weeks ago. Maybe I'll repost it. Magnesium and zinc. You can also Google it, right? List of foods that are high in magnesium. And then how do you tell the difference between increased weight girth due to relaxing abdominal muscles versus a thickening fat layer? Yeah, so that's very difficult, right? Especially my program's virtual, so I can't do body composition things. But my thing is we need to just kind of focus on diet and see what changes we have. It doesn't matter if it's muscles or fat. If it's protruding and you don't like it, you can fix that. I have a client, Gareth, who lost 11 inches off of his waist. That's just bonkers to me. And let me tell you, there's no way he lost 11 inches of fat. But does he care? No, he doesn't care, because he just was like, I'm overeating. And, I know it's partly because I'm paraplegic, or actually he's actually quadriplegic. I always forget that because he presents as a paraplegic, but he's quad. It doesn't matter. You can't really tell the difference. You can do a body scan. I don't know how effective they are. They send this pulse through your body, and different weight loss, bariatric clinics and stuff do offer them. So it could tell you your body fat percentage. My thing, Abby, is that we tend to focus on things that are not within our control. It doesn't matter if it's fat or muscle. If it's protruding, you could look at your diet and you can lose many inches just from improving your bowel health, your gut health. To be honest, I think with paralysis, when we talk about the belly, I think it's more gut health than anything else. I don't think my people are losing all fat. It's impossible. I think that they're full of poop and that they need to kind of get that out. And that, plus getting the right calories and macros, is what's going to improve the belly. So it's going to be both. you do have decreased muscle control. And so your intestines are really not held in, right? So it is going to protrude just from that, but there's also fat. So it's both. And I don't think you can really tell the difference. Christina, what are your thoughts on supplementing protein intake for a day with a protein shake? I think I'm low on protein heading into the evening. I'll just shake up a protein powder with some almond milk and chug it. So I would say, okay. It doesn't sound like you enjoy that. And I think my approach is, listen, I'm a wife of a quadriplegic. I understand food is a source of happiness, and I don't think that chugging a protein shake, because that's also calories, I don't think that's a great idea. I would say, why are you low on protein for the day? And how can you fix that? Right? So chugging a protein shake, yes, it'll get to your numbers, but why are you not hitting it? What are the things that are happening through the day? Like, are you not getting 20 grams, for example, at each meal? And how can you fix that? So I would say look at your day and where can you get protein from real food in. I know a lot of people get upset bowels from these protein supplements. So I am not wild about them. Also, the source of protein. What kind of protein is it? Is it whey protein? Is it soy protein? Is it, I had this woman, I forget when it was, but she was so bloated from drinking these isogenics shakes. And I said, what's it made of? And she was like, I have no idea. So, and then when we looked at it, she was like, oh, it's some vegan organic isogenics. And I said, okay, what's it made of? It's made of beans. And perhaps that's why you're crazy bloated and gassy, because you are drinking bean powder twice a day. So this is why I say food over anything. And I would just say, try to get your protein from real food throughout the day. And if there's a meal that you are always under protein, got to switch it up, got to figure it out. Are there any natural foods that would enable bowel regularity in addition to vegetables like beans and prunes? Yes. So there's lots of foods that have fiber in them. Also, I have this whole kind of thing on probiotic foods and prebiotic foods. So if you are, I guess, enable regularity, I mean, I think that means you're constipated. So I would say getting your fiber from fruits and vegetables and whole grains, that is the way to do it. But also getting your probiotics, right? Your good bacterias from food. So like fermented foods, like if you like sauerkraut or kefir, my husband drinks kefir every day. It's funny. My daughter likes it too. She's like 2 years old. Anything that you enjoy, right, that's fermented, you can make sure that you have that in there. And of course, drinking enough water. So for some people, 64 ounces is enough. Some people, they need like 80 or 90. And if I have some colleagues that are in the IBS and SIBO world, which is probably as close to a colleague as I'll ever have. And so they actually recommend like 80 to 100 for ounces of water for gut health. So lots of foods, probiotic foods, prebiotic foods, and favorite, fruits, vegetables, and whole grains. Thank you, Ryan. He left, but he was saying thank you. Diane, I'm a vegetarian. Started using wakame seaweed in soups. Yeah. Seaweed. You obviously don't like it. So there's so many other vegetarian sources of protein. I would say go to your grocery store, and there's usually, I don't know where everyone is, but like in my grocery store, many grocery stores, there's kind of like a section of vegetarian proteins. Some are in the freezer section, some are in the fridge section. So like tofu, seitan, tempeh, these are things that are much higher in protein than like seaweed. And if you have a problem with the smell or the taste of anything, don't eat it. Because why? You know, I feel like so many people think that they have to eat this like special, super, I don't know, like superfood stuff. And you don't, you know, like you can eat, you're a vegetarian. Do you eat Greek yogurt? Do you eat eggs? Do you eat hemp? Do you eat nuts? Like these are foods, you know, that I think I would take those over seafood any day. Seaweed any day. And I do enjoy a seaweed salad, but you know, I'm not you. So you are having trouble with that. A substitute for the seaweed, I don't actually know. I only eat the cold seaweed salad from the sushi place. Thomas, the fees for the program are on the website. I'm happy to talk to you about that. And Monica, thank you. You're welcome, Monica. Looking to gain healthy weight, yes. Skin management. So I'm assuming that's a pressure sore. So what do you need to increase? You need to, if you have any sort of pressure sore, please, please, please go to the wound center and do a virtual visit if you must, or go in person if you can. And I think, so very quickly for pressure sores, your protein and your calories, they're probably a lot higher than you even think. And like I mentioned, Leon is my client. Leon's doing awesome. He did have like a stage 4 pressure sore, and it was sort of too late. Like I hate to say that, but it's sort of too late. You know, stage 4 that you've had for a year that you haven't done anything, you know, for, it's going to be very difficult. So he did end up having a surgery. But I do get people with like a stage 2 or even a stage 3. And when they dramatically increase their protein, now there should be a dietitian or somebody at your wound care clinic that will figure out, based on your weight and your stage of pressure sore, how many grams of protein. And, you know, I'm not wild about protein powders, and I'm not wild about these fake proteins, but that's a pressure sore is a good reason to get those in. That is pretty much the only time that I will tell people, you need to go get a protein powder. You need to make sure that you're having, every single thing needs to have protein. Because like, for example, I don't remember, but I know that I calculated protein for somebody and it was like 150 grams. That's a lot of protein, you know, and I don't know how you could get that much without something like the protein supplement. So I would consider that. And if you're looking for weight gain, I mean, yes, you have to eat more calories. How much, I don't know, but I would hope that there is somebody in your wound care clinic who can help you with that. Teresa, is the daily requirement for calcium increased? So I wish there was an answer to that question, but we don't have special guidelines for people with SCI. They don't exist in the literature. Do you need more? I don't know, but I'll tell you this, most people don't get enough. And I'm talking about not paralysis, not wheelchair users. So are you eating like 3 servings of food that contains calcium? And Teresa, if you are concerned, have you gotten a DEXA scan? Have you gotten a bone density scan? I actually just had this conversation with a client of mine yesterday because her ferritin is very low. So that's related to like iron. And she said, I'm getting a DEXA scan, a bone scan, because I'm feeling very, like, she's been injured for 35 years or something. So she's just like, I think it's time. And I think it's overdue. You're overdue. So the requirement, there's not really guidelines, unfortunately. So I would say make sure that you're eating at least 2 or 3 servings of a calcium rich food every day. And also vitamin D and magnesium, super important for your bone health. And get a scan. You know, I say this all the time. Like, I feel frustrated, and my husband has good doctors. You know, I just feel like there's nobody to manage every little thing, right? And so his urologist isn't thinking about his bones. His neurologist isn't thinking about his bones. You know, who's thinking about everything? You know, technically a physiatrist, but you know, I think sometimes we're kind of on our own. It's sort of frustrating, but that's also probably, you know, a huge reason why I think nutrition is important, because it affects every little thing in your body. So I wouldn't go buying calcium supplements or anything, but you know, eating, hopefully you eat dairy and things like that. I know there's some misconceptions out there, like, oh, broccoli has calcium. It's like it has this much calcium. It's not very bioavailable. So if you're concerned about your bones, vitamin D, get your status checked. I have people who have such low vitamin D, myself included. So supplementation can help, magnesium can help. And of course, eating your calcium rich foods. Kasava, you're welcome, Kasava. Christina, what's your take on cooked veggies versus uncooked? What do you like? It doesn't really matter. So for certain foods, when you heat them up, like for example, tomatoes, if you heat up tomatoes, the lycopene content goes up. That's great. But you destroyed some of the other stuff because you heated it up. So it's like eating a variety, you know. Vitamin C, for example, for peppers, sometimes the burden of knowledge is like, ugh, it's too much, right? We don't want to go nuts over things. And I think we should use our intuition. So if you like, I like peppers raw and cooked. Fantastic. Sometimes I do when I'm cooking them. I don't overcook them because I know I'm killing the vitamin C. But I could easily get vitamin C from something else. So it's like, we don't want to obsess. I think that cooked vegetables, if you have trouble with digestion, oh, you should cook your vegetables. If you are very bloated, oh, you should cook your vegetables. They are gentler, you know, on the system, but it takes time to cook veggies. So, for example, for lunch, we barely ever have cooked vegetables for lunch. We'll have cucumbers, baby tomatoes, baby carrots, you know, these things that are raw, but I'm not eating, you know, large amounts of it, you know. I would say nutritionally, it's good to have a variety. And yes, things do change. Some things, when you heat them up, it's actually good, but some things, when you heat them up, you kill them. So it's like, you can't live like that, you know, with like the, you know, when we're getting to the point where like cooked vegetables versus uncooked vegetables, like I bet you already eat healthy. So I wouldn't worry about it. What do you enjoy? You know, I don't enjoy raw broccoli. I'm not going to eat it. I don't enjoy raw cauliflower. I'm not going to eat it. I will cook it, right? So eat what you like, especially when it comes to, you know, we're splitting hairs at that point. Michaela, is a slice of whole grain toast with hummus a good daily snack? Yeah, I love that. Actually, my favorite is whole grain toast, hummus. I put hemp seeds on it, and I also put I love sliced cucumber and red onion. That's my favorite. I also like hummus instead of mayo when I make turkey sandwiches. But like my husband's Arabic, we make hummus every Sunday, so it's like something that we keep a lot. Um, yes, it's a good daily snack. But also, what are you eating all day, right? It's not the highest in protein, but if you're eating if you're using like a really hearty piece of bread, the bread that I have right now, it's got like 5 or 6 grams of protein. I was really surprised. So it's like that plus like, I mean, I put a lot of hummus. So it's like 3 or 4 tablespoons. It's kind of a lot. And then I put like 2 tablespoons of hemp. So it's like, I'll probably get up to 12 grams of protein. Fantastic, you know, and there's good fiber in there. So yes, it is a good daily snack. And again, do you enjoy it? If you enjoy it, it's good. Monica, I don't know what you're saying, stage 1 to 2 management. I think you're talking about your wound, right? Yeah, I can't do that on this. But I'm glad that it's only stage 1 to 2 because that is very reversible. So immediately, I think you need to call your wound clinic. And also, like I said before, how much protein are you eating now? Right? How much are you eating now? So, because that's important too. Ellen, I understand the need to improve gut health and prevent weight gain, but why are BMI recommendations lower? I know. So, and I like always hesitate to even share that, but it's like, it's true. So there was a study with the Paralyzed Veterans Association of America, and they're very legit. And they have a lot of doctors who are on this study. And so why is BMI important? Is because it correlates with higher risk of diabetes, higher risk of fatty liver, higher risk of blah, 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 right? So in the general population, non-wheelchair users, they say around BMI 30, your risk for these things goes up, right? And that's why they say BMI 30 equals obesity. Unfortunately, they did the same kind of data collection for people with spinal cord injury and paralysis. And they're saying it's not BMI 30 that gives you the same risks for these things. It's like BMI 22. I think that it's a little ridiculous to expect people to have a BMI of 22, but it's also because your muscle mass has gone down and muscle. So it's not that muscle weighs less than fat. It takes up less space, but whatever. Yes, it sort of weighs less, right? So when you have an SCI and your muscle mass is lower and your fat mass is higher, this is all why. And you know what? I'm going to take that off. I don't want to say that again because it's very clinical and it's very confusing and it can feel like, oh my God, like I am already, my BMI is already like this. And I think it's a little unrealistic to expect people to be at a BMI of 22, but I also respect and appreciate that they did this study to figure out at what BMI level in the SCI population are we seeing the same results, or I should say negative results, of the general population in terms of the obesity. So for the general population, obesity 30, they're starting to see or they're correlating these poorer health outcomes. And for the SCI paralysis community, they're seeing it around 22. Don't let that discourage you. Everything is correlation, not causation. And I think that if you can, I get a lot of people who, when they were injured, right before they were injured, they were already overweight, right? So it's like, let's figure that out first. You were already overweight, and now we want you to be at a healthy weight. So everybody's different. If nobody even knows their BMI. Who has weighed themselves? So it's like, let's not get caught up in these things. And I almost apologize for even bringing it up because I think I'm going to get rid of it the next time I present because it doesn't sound good, right? BMI 22. It's ridiculous. Diane. Oh yeah. So Diane is saying that it tastes good, the seaweed, but it has 0 protein. Yeah. Put some tofu in there or something. Thank you, Mary. Granddaughters arrived. Good. Christina, what all needs to be supplemented when having a vegan diet? Yeah. So B12 and iron are the number one things because there is no B12 or iron in vegan proteins. And also, if you want to eat things like kale and spinach and say that those have iron, yes, they sort of do, but you have to have vitamin C with them or they are not going to be absorbed. Vegetarian sources of iron are not as bioavailable, so they're not as absorbed. So you'll absorb like, I don't know, I have this in one of on the educational course. I think it's like 10%. You'll absorb like 10%. So You take a supplement from omega-3s. That's great. Some vitamins and minerals. Okay. So protein carb distribution is a huge problem. Yes, because most vegetarian and vegan proteins contain carbs. So even your proteins contain carbs. And then you eating fruits and vegetables and mostly plants. So those are all carbs too. So I think it's what needs to be supplemented is what you're low in. But for vegan diets, almost everyone I think needs B12 and iron, and potentially other things too. Are they separating men and women? I don't remember, Mary. I don't remember. Thank you, Donna. Ellen helped. Yes, the health risks occur. They do, but it's also a mixed bag. You know what I mean? Like, how's your mental health? If your BMI is 25 or 28 and your mental health is fantastic and you're eating very healthy, I say that's awesome. If your BMI is 22, you're miserable, you skip meals and nothing is fun for you, that's probably worse, you know? So I think we just kind of got to focus on the best that we can do. Cassava, pickling, fermentation, change the sugars in the foods. Does it convert all the sugars into alcohols? Yeah, cassava, I don't know. That's a food science question. Fermentation, the reason that we want to eat fermented foods is because they have probiotics. It's been a long time since I did nutritional biochemistry. Not looking forward to doing it ever again. So yeah, I wouldn't worry about the sugars. Does it induce acidity? No. I get a lot of questions about like, because UTIs are such a problem, right? So it's like, if I eat this, will it make my urine not acidic? No. You know, will it? Because if our body was so sensitive to what we ate that our blood pH changed, we would all be dead, because it's so tightly regulated to help us, live. So you could eat, the most acidic food ever. You could switch to an alkaline diet and all this kind of stuff. But to be honest, I think all that kind of stuff is kind of disordered, right? We're going way above and beyond. And the amount of stress that I think people have when they hear these things, like now I feel so guilty for saying the BMI 22 thing, because I don't want anyone to get obsessed or discouraged or anything. It's like, what do you weigh now? Do you like it? Would you like to improve that? Let's just do that, and the data is what it is. I don't know if they separated men and women. That's interesting. I think it's like 60 or 70% of people with SCI in America, at least, are male. So they tend to be these studies tend to be more like males. But if you are eating healthy, if you are moving your body, if you are reducing stress, like, these are the things to focus on. I'm totally getting rid of that slide. It's such a downer. All right, you guys, I thank you so much for having me. I don't know how many people are going to be attending Abilities Expo, but I'm going to be there Friday and Saturday. I got to get my booth set up. It's like all virtual. And so maybe I'll see some of you guys there. I'm doing like a Q&A for them and things like that. And this week I didn't feel too good, so I wasn't on social media too much, but I'm always on there yapping and chatting about nutrition for SCI. So I hope to see some of you guys there. Okay.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. This was so amazing. Perfect.
Awesome. I'm so glad.
Yeah, so helpful. And so you gave everybody your contact information on the slide, but if for some reason you weren't able to jot it down or you don't remember it or whatever, you can always email us at the GBC. We can get the contact information for Fatimah to you.
I'll put it in the chat. So I have paralysisnutrition.com/cookbook, and please use the promo code Boston. I'm going to put that in. Don't buy it right now because I didn't put the promo code in. But in like 5 minutes, I will put that in there, and I'll give you guys 25% off. That's today only. for people who joined the webinar. And then also, if you guys want to put that on social media, I'm fine with it, to say promo code Boston. And if you are interested, like I do have a 6-week program and a 3-month program. And so that is paralysisnutrition.com/apply. And then you can, oh, I sent that to Diane privately. What did I do? Trying to put it to everybody. Okay. So paralysisnutrition.com/apply. There we go. I privately sent you, Diane.
Thank you, Diane. I just have one question.
Yes.
You have Diane in Spanish, the book.
No, sorry.
No, that's okay. It's okay.
I don't.
Because I did a group in Spanish. I like to invite them to join and also to read your book.
Yeah. So I will. So I'll say this. No, it's not in Spanish. I get so many requests for different languages, and it's just, I'm sure if I worked with like a publisher that would do that for me, you know, but I don't speak Spanish. So
okay, you don't mind if I do little translate in Spanish and give it to my clients?
So in the beginning of the cookbook, there's like an intro section, and so that's kind of like my top, either like 10 or 12 like guidelines for nutrition for paralysis, for weight and bowel. So that section is probably the part that would be the problem. I feel like the ingredients and things like that is probably not as hard to translate, but yeah, no Spanish, sorry.
No problem.
People ask me for all different languages, and I'm just like, not in 2021. Maybe eventually, why not? Right? I would love that.
Maybe later. You never know.
I'll add that to my list of things to do.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you guys so much. I have to hop. Heidi, thank you so much. I owe you a package. I'm gonna get to the post office, Heidi. Heidi, are you running today?
We'll definitely go out for a walk today.
For the WAGs.
Oh, that. No, you know, I've been very busy. No, I'm not doing that. Yes, sorry. Yeah. Are you?
Yes. Even okay. I will do it on my treadmill, but we're gonna.
Okay. All right.
All right, everyone, take care.
Hi, Jane. Enjoy the rest of the weekend.
Hi, Jane. I see you. Jane's in the program.
Oh, great.
Great.
All right, take care, everyone.
Thank you. Great job. Thank you.
Have a good weekend. Bye, thank you.
Bye. Bye.
First, I get you, Jessica. Yes, I did talk to the lady, Martha.
Oh, awesome. Great.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry I didn't get back to you. I wasn't there. I couldn't.
That's okay.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.